Yeah, actually, how would SailPoint if you have not defined any correlation rule? Because how will that one get? I don't know. There is a mechanism. So, as a day before yesterday only I came to know, I thought we have to define the correlation rule, but we won't be able to rely on the mechanism. Just try to remember. So far, I never relied on the back-end mechanism. You have to define the rules, because you are going to maintain 1.5 lakh identities when it comes to real-time project. So this is what I have seen so far. So you should declare the correlation you should define. Is that make sense? Because day before yesterday I was working on randomly, and I came to know if you are not going to define any correlation in that scenario also, it won't create. If you want, you can try in your system. Just try to replicate first. Don't define any correlation rule. Try to create 5 application. Try to import all identities. So what will happen? I'll ask tomorrow, and I'll explain more. Is that make sense? Is it clear? Yep, okay, yeah. So 5 application you have created. So all 5 application is going to merge in the same identity because of the correlation. So because, if you are going to do, you are definitely going to end up with any error, and you will learn something. You'll learn new. Okay, so as I said, let me open this application. So these are the tabs: correlation accounts, risk activity, data, source rules. Password policy is going to be same for all application. All application based on this configuration tab is going to change for every connector type. As I said, let's create one more application. In this time, all data has been stored some database. So now I'm going to change the type as JDBC instead of delimiter if the data has been stored in the feed file, so I can select delimiter type. If the data has been stored in delimiter, I mean database, so I have to select JDBC. Okay, so now. So suppose I'm one identity on 5 different application. Okay, if I may be wrong here, but I'm just trying to understand what? What if the database type is or the file type is incorrect? Like if it is CSV or .xml or O yesterday you have seen, right? If the file type is not CSV or if the data is not correct. So it will throw some error. So SailPoint redriving was successful. You have seen the message right yesterday. When we click on the test connection, but it won't read the file, so the aggregation won't happen. It will throw some error. No, I think I did not put my question correctly. So what I mean is, there are 5 applications. Okay, now there is only one identity. It may be that those out of 5 application 2 application may accept different kind of a delimiter. Okay, yeah, so what? What in those kind of scenarios, different kind of delimiter means? I didn't get that like the. Suppose different a file type, CSV. I mean to say, one application is delimited, one application is JDBC, one application correct. So, based on that connector, you have created an application right for that particular application. You have created some tasks. So why are you checking those files? I didn't get that. So let's take an example here. The same identity. So this identity has 5 applications. It's not necessary. All account has to be delimited. Okay, so this Drive spreadsheet delimiter. You can consider this. Google Gmail. This application is a database application, so we have used the connector JDBC in the back end. So you should not worry about what is application and all aggregation happening. Identity got this access. So no need to worry about connector type because in the initial time, whenever you are going to create an application where the data has been stored, based on that you are going to select the connector and based on that you are going to create from where the data has been fixed. It's connected thing. We should not worry. Okay, I think I is. Are you understand that the question is different? No, I understand. I understood. I was. I'm actually confused with the file type, CSV. You know the Excel sheet that is. You showed yesterday. Okay, the file. Whenever employees going to join, what HR people will do? They are going to collect the details. Right, correct. They will collect the details, and they are going to enter in somewhere. It could be Excel sheet. It could be some web-based portal. Right? It could be some application and finally the data where they are storing. That matters. If they are going to store into Excel sheet. So I know Excel sheet it's going to be CSV format. It has to be CSV format, and we can import those data using delimiter connector. Okay, if the data has been stored in some JDBC, I mean some database, some back end, the database is working. Let me open here some database. If the data has been stored here in the database, in this identity database. So in that scenario, I'm going to use some JDBC connector. Using the JDBC, I can fetch the data. I can input all the data now. Clear now. Yes, okay. So let's do one thing. It's not only for Navan. All of you understand Baba Danai and Rama Subramanian Russia. Yeah, I understand that part, I understand. But the correlation, again the 5 application we example, I don't understand. I'll give it a try in POC, but I wanted to know. Yeah, but for the correlation there was another concept, I remember. From the feed file. Beat HR beat anything, right? We get managers right. We have to have the managers correlated as well, right? So how? Oh, the other section? Yeah, so it doesn't matter if you want to correlate anything. So based on the attribute only you are going to define. If you want to correlation, you can select the manager ID from here in the identity attribute. Manager attribute has to be there so you can have. Can we have 2 kind of correlations? Why I'm saying so? I had a real client requirement on a different. I mean it was for a meme, though we did it in a different way, but the client requirement was in the feed file. There were 2 people. One is manager for the contractor. There were 2 people. One is the manager, another one was a supervisor. So for contractor they have 2 people. So when we consume that file in the identity source, we want to see 2 people, manager also correlated, and the supervisor also correlated. So can we do this thing by any means too? Let's take an example, as you said, manager and supervisor, right? Yes, application attribute from. Based on the application I can select. If I couldn't achieve using this attribute in that scenario, we need to define the correlation rule. Okay, so here I have to create some rule. Let's take an example. prism correlation. So some rule has been written already, so we have to define these things. If you couldn't achieve using the attribute identity attribute, application attribute, you couldn't create correlation, then you have to create a rule. We can create one because by default they have given one for the manager, in case, if somebody has manager as well as supervisor, there are two people to correlate. So manager, we can do it from there, which is already given manager correlation, right? We can have all the managers. Then you have to define, okay, this is the employee, you have to use some if condition. If the employee type is a contractor, then you should look for this correlation. If the employee type is permanent, then you should go for this correlation. Something like the correlation rule, you have to write it here. You're saying exactly okay. Okay, got you, okay. So whatever rules you are going to define here as part of account aggregation, it will trigger. As part of provision, it will trigger. Just keep in mind that, okay. So whenever we run the aggregation, these correlation rules will also trigger, is it?